are you doing? This is Katina Morrison, and you have reached the Inflamed Sisters Thriving Podcast. Welcome to the Inflamed Sisters Thriving Podcast, a safe space created to guide women living with chronic illness to uncover their purpose by doing what they were meant to do, move in power by advocating for themselves, and accelerate their growth in health, career, and business. You will learn how to stop hiding and start thriving. We will inspire, educate, and motivate you as we show you Inflamed Sisters thrive together always. And today I have my amazing guest, the Jessica Wilson, Jess the IE. Welcome, sis.
Hey girl, hey, how are you today?
I am doing amazing, and it's so wonderful to see you and all your beautiful colors
Well, thank you, ma'am.
today.
I'm trying. Sometimes you got to fake it till you make it. And today is Friday. I'm going to be colorful. I'm going to be bright regardless.
Amen. And I love it. I love it all, girl. I would love for you to introduce yourself to everyone.
Okay, well, again, my name is Jessica Wilson. I go by Just the IE on social media. I am a self advocacy coach. I am born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, moved down to Atlanta, Georgia. Oh, gosh, almost 10 years now? Oh, time flies when you're having fun. Um, during that time, of course, had some highs, had some lows, as does everyone in life. But one of the key things for me that happened was my breast cancer diagnosis, July 2020. From that spawned a need for me to advocate for myself and a desire to help other women learn how to advocate for themselves. And boom, self advocacy coaching was born. I've been doing that for about the past year now, and I'm loving it. I'm enjoying it. And the more women, men, minorities I can help, the better.
I love the work that you are doing. In fact, that's how you and I came in contact with one another is through
Mhm.
social media, and we connect a lot on self-advocacy. Self-advocacy is a very important part of what I do as a chronic illness coach, and I really admire everything that you've been doing. Before
Well,
we
thank you,
got too
ma'am.
started, get too started, I wanted to say, right now I am wearing the Ashley Warrior Fit Fam shirt. I am supporting her in her competition that she's having this week in
Whoop,
reference
whoop.
to bodybuilding. We are hoping that you bring the win home, sister. And when you do, you coming back and telling us about this full journey. So let's be prepared for that. She is also one of our sisters.
Amen.
Um, we both love her and all that she is doing. In fact, we have created a wonderful community of sisters on Instagram. So make sure you're following at Just the IE, me at I am underscore Katina Morrison, and of course, our amazing sister Ashley Nicole at Ashnick underscore RA Warrior Fitness. So I had to plug that because this is exciting times for her. She's had an amazing journey, but you have had a journey as well. And in you introducing yourself, you spoke about something, and that is your journey as a newly diagnosed with breast cancer in 2020.
Yes,
Can you
ma'am.
tell me about that experience for you?
Whew. Well, um, hindsight, we learned that I don't have any sort of breast cancer gene or anything like that. So it wasn't anything genetic. They say like 1 in 10 women will get breast cancer. I was just that lucky one woman. Unfortunately, I was 32, 33 years old at the time. I was a mother of twin girls. They had just turned 2, they were on their way to turning 3. And one breast just started to get a little bit larger than the other. I naturally have fibroids in my breast, so I thought, maybe a fibroid's doing something. Definitely want to monitor it, but not too concerned. I had an annual appointment coming up with my gynecologist soon, and I was like, I'll just bring it to his attention. I had the appointment with my gynecologist in April of 2020. Now, mind you, this is when the world was going to hell in a handbasket. We didn't know what COVID was. We didn't know if we were going to be in the house for 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, and here we are 2 years later, still wearing masks. So at the time, we had no clue what to expect. Doctors' offices are trying to shut down and figure out how to invite patients back in one at a time because they are critical services. They couldn't just, close their doors to us forever. So I get there and I'm in the appointment, and my gynecologist and I have a very great relationship. So I bring my concerns to him, and he's like, well, you naturally kind of have lumpy, bumpy breasts, but let's get you an ultrasound and a mammogram just to ease your fears and your concerns. And I said, okay, great. The unfortunate part of that was I wasn't able to get in for a couple of months. So April, May, June, it's now my breast has pretty much doubled in size. And so now I'm pretty concerned. I get in for the mammogram, and they're struggling to get an actual, like, a good image because they say the breast is so dense. Not only that, but my breast, like I said, is pretty much doubled in size and it's inflamed. So it's hot, it's swollen, it's irritated, and they keep trying to mash it between those two plates. If you're a woman and ever had a mammogram, you know how uncomfortable, slightly painful that can be on a normal day. So imagine your breast being completely inflamed, hot, sensitive to the touch, and now having to be smashed over and over and over again between the plates. But for me, I would rather go through any of that pain to know for sure whether I had cancer or not. So from the mammogram, they said, we want you to go and get an ultrasound instead. Maybe they can see a little bit better. So while I'm on the table getting the ultrasound, they're like, yeah, we kind of think you need to get a biopsy. And at that point, I knew that the chances were increasing that this was something serious. Um, During the biopsy, the person that was doing the ultrasound and biopsy started asking me questions like, so are you still breastfeeding? And I'm like, no, my children are over 2 years old and we've been done for a while now. She's like, okay. And she asked me if I had any fevers recently. And I was like, no, haven't had any fevers either. She was going through her checklist of trying to rule out some things. She was trying to make sure this wasn't a case of mastitis, which is an inflammation of the mammary glands inside your breast where your milk ducts are. And um, sometimes that gives you inflammation and pain, and you get the fever and all of that. That would be kind of met with some antibiotics, and I would be sent on my way. But in this case, it just was not that. And she was able to rule that out, but it wasn't her place to tell me that I had breast cancer. So she instead told me, I need you to find a surgeon while we're waiting, find an oncologist just in case. And then I had the biopsy on a Monday, and that Friday I was diagnosed with stage 3 inflammatory breast cancer, and I have been battling ever since.
Wow. Just wow, sis. And one thing that I have admired and appreciated about you is your strength and your
Well, thank you.
courage, even in the way that you delivered this experience that you had, because this is an experience that is life changing. It changed the life of not only you, but it changed the life of your family, your friends. It may have even changed your
Mhm.
work experience because you continue to work as well in NIE.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, so it is important for, as we take all of that in, that we realize that this was such a life changing experience. And it happened, like you said,
Mhm.
when the whole world was like, going crazy
Right.
as far
Shutting down.
as
Right.
shutting down. Like, how am I supposed to get treatment and things of that sort? How
Mhm.
am I supposed to effectively get the services and the care, quality of care I deserve when everyone is experiencing, as they say, the panorama?
Right.
So, so, so you get this diagnosis,
Mhm.
and you took the steps that each woman needs to take, which is, we need to be doing our monthly breast checks and we need to be getting our mammograms, especially for those of us who have a history of it, or especially when you notice changes. And then,
Mhm.
of course, it's time for there to be made changes to the policies that are established for timeframes in which women get breast cancer screenings and mammograms,
Absolutely.
because it's happened younger and younger. You were
Mhm.
33 years old and
Yes.
basically a new mom of
Yes.
twins.
Yes.
So, okay, all let's reset this. We are just getting this diagnosis. So, what was your experience from there, and what led you to this journey of the importance and the value of self advocacy?
I would say that the beginning of this journey was just met with a lot of shock, a lot of fear, a lot of concern, just a lot of OMG. WTF? Like, what does this mean for me? What does this mean for my family? What does this mean for my parents, my friends? Like, I'm the type of person that's an overthinker. So, like, whenever I was told I was pregnant with twins, my mind immediately went to I have to pay for 2 proms and 2 weddings at the same time. Mind you, my children were 2 weeks old inside my belly. Like, there was no need for me to be concerned about what may or may not happen 16 plus years from now, but that's how my brain works. So once I was given the cancer diagnosis, I'm immediately thinking about all the tentacles of this. So what does this mean for not just myself, but everyone that may come in contact with me, positive or negative? Um, I knew that I needed to remain calm and logical to some extent because my life and my health would depend on it. There wouldn't be a lot for me to gain by being hysterical. Now, granted, I allowed myself time to process and be as hysterical as I needed to be. Let's not be mistaken there. I am not superwoman. I am human and I let it all out. But the key was to let it out so that I could process it and then move forward with a plan. And so the plan was to meet with the surgeon and then meet with the oncologist, and we would take it from there. My surgeon was a woman. She was excellent. She was the one that actually delivered the diagnosis, but she was there to help pick me back up off the floor. We came up with a plan. I went and met with the oncologist, and that's when I had my aha moment. The experience with the oncologist and the experience with the breast surgeon were total night and day different, could not be more different if they tried. I don't know if it was because the surgeon was a woman or the oncologist was a man. I really don't think that. I think there may have been some deeper seated issues, but when I met the oncologist, I immediately knew that this probably wouldn't be a working relationship that would work in my favor. He showed up to my appointments late. He spoke to me as if he just could not care less. Like he was not talking about my life hanging in the balance, but instead, oh, I had a hangnail or something like that. Maybe he should get the toenail clippers and cut it off. Like it was very nonchalant. He starts off reading the diagnosis to me, talking to me about the treatment plan. And then somewhere in there, he saw on his chart that I was an engineer. I'm an industrial engineer. That's part of what that just the IE stands for. And once he saw that, he literally said to me, "Oh, but you're an engineer. You understand these things." And then he immediately just like flipped a switch and stopped speaking to me as if I were a patient who just received a breast cancer diagnosis and instead spoke to me as if I were one of his colleagues and he was just giving a report. There was no emotion, there was no empathy, sympathy, nothing. And I just sat there and said, "Is this the way that this doctor would speak to someone that he loved? Would he talk to his mother, his grandma, his sister, his daughter, someone that he loved? Would he speak to them that way?" And the answer was no. And if you can't speak to me with the level of care and respect that you would give to someone that you love, then I don't think that this is a relationship that's going to work for me because literally my life would be in his hands. A lot of what he mentioned was just standard course of treatment, standard course of treatment, standard course of treatment. But if you don't know, I have inflammatory breast cancer, but it's also triple negative. And triple negative means that you're trying to figure out what is feeding this tumor. What is it using to grow? Is it your estrogen hormone? Is it your progesterone hormone? Or is it a HER2 protein? And in my case, my cancer was showing up negative for all three of those. Triple negative cancer is also one of the most aggressive forms of breast cancer. And so the more and more he said standard course of treatment, the more and more I knew I wasn't in the right place because lo and behold, for inflammatory breast cancer, there really is no standard course of treatment. We can start off with things that generally work, and then we need to move on and switch chemos as often as necessary to try to stay ahead of this tumor. So, after those first few experiences, I reached back out to that gynecologist that I told you I had a very great relationship with. And I told him, like, yeah, this isn't working. I do not feel comfortable being his patient. And he literally said to me, if your breast cancer is triple negative, I want you to go to this specific hospital network. And he asked me if I was serious about switching. I said yes. And he volunteered pretty much to make the connection. He was my gynecologist. He already had access to all of my records. He already had a very good relationship with the doctor that he wanted me to switch to. And so he went ahead and started that transfer process on my behalf. So I cannot stress enough the importance of having a great relationship with at least one of your doctors that is overseeing your overall care because that can literally make the difference between A, life and death, but B, the amount of time it takes you to switch and get treatment somewhere else. Sometimes that referral from a doctor to another doctor specifically can make all the difference. And in doing so, I was able to switch hospital networks completely. I am now in a place where they are everything but standard course of treatment. They are willing to try anything and everything, think outside the box. They view me as a partner. I have a say in what I do or don't do, but I am wholly competent in, or I'm wholly confident in the competence of my oncologist now, my breast surgeon, all of that. Like a night and day experience. And I would suggest anyone switch if they were having the experience that I was having.
Wow. So anyone listening, you now see what I love about her, not only in speaking your journey, but speaking the self-advocacy that you put ahead in front of you in order for you to get the quality of care you deserved. Sometimes when people are placed in those situations, they think that I'm assigned to this doctor and I was referred to this doctor for a purpose. So I'm supposed to stick with this particular physician. But
Mhm.
if you're uncomfortable, if you feel like this person is not treating you with the kindness and compassion that you deserve, not clearly explaining things, then that
Mhm.
means that this doctor may be limited in their ability to meet your needs. And that is not the doctor for you. If
Right.
someone is not going to be able to meet your needs, then you need to transfer to someone who can.
Mhm.
And I admire you in such a challenging time taking the steps to get the care and the treatment that you deserve. Sis, I mean, you're an excellent example. And anyone who is going through similar situations where they're dealing with a chronic illness or cancer or any other types of health concerns, use this as a model of really listening to your own voice and
Mhm.
finding it and then using it to get the care that you deserve, because there are doctors out there who are going to do their best to serve your needs in the way that they should. I wanted to take this opportunity to tell you about an amazing company that I have come in contact with that aligns my purpose and my passion, serving the chronic illness community and specifically women with autoimmune diseases like me. Well, that company is DrugView. DrugView helps patients with autoimmune disease gain full control of their health journey. For free, they consolidate your medical records to a streamlined portal, match you to clinical trials, and identify better treatment options for you. For free, yes, for free, they will consolidate your medical records to a streamlined portal, match you to clinical trials, and identify better treatment options. You get a secure platform for your medical records in one place, a tool that matches you to clinical trials based on your unique health history, and a community where you can discover outcomes and side effects of medications from patients with similar health histories and diagnoses just like you. I encourage you to sign up for this in the link associated with this podcast so that you can benefit from these amazing resources. So you mentioned some points. You got transferred over to the right doctor
Mhm.
and the right healthcare system that would take care of all of your needs. What has that process been like since your transition over to the new care providers? And you know, in that case, what are some of the things that you actually recommend for others as well? But I'd love to hear, like, what has that experience been like for you now that you advocated for yourself? Mhm.
Now being in the place with the new medical team, I guess they're not new anymore. Like I said, I've been on this battle for almost 2 years now, but the level of communication back and forth, the number of times that I'm not only asking my doctor questions, but my doctor's asking me questions instead of just assuming that she knows the answers or knows how I'm going to feel about something, or assuming that I already know a piece of information regardless of whether I've been going through this for 2 years or not. There may be some sort of treatment that I don't know much about, or there may be some aspect of this chemo drug or this immunotherapy drug that I may not know about. There may be side effects that I needed to be made aware of that she may not be aware of. So she calls in a third party, and now I have pharmacy in the room with me and my oncologist, making sure that I have all of my questions answered. I can reach out to my doctor 24 hours a day because there's an online portal now. So if it's the middle of the night and I just have a question, or there's a random bump on my elbow, or I don't know, this headache has been lasting for a few days, but I don't think it's serious enough for me to try to make an appointment and come in, I can now reach out on the portal, send her a picture, send her a message, and either her or someone on her team will get back to me. And they are very good at getting back to me within 24 hours. And much times it's a lot faster than that. Um, in this new process at this new hospital network, I now have a nurse navigator, and that is also someone that helps me cut through any sort of red tape that may creep up throughout the process. For instance, there was a new chemo drug that my oncologist wanted to switch me to, but the turnaround time was a little bit too quick for the insurance company to give their approval. And so it came down to the wire of, okay, she's going to get chemo treatment at 8 o'clock on Friday and it is 5 o'clock on Thursday, and the insurance company still hasn't given a decision. What do we do? I started to freak out, but having the rockstar team around me, they were like, do not worry. Regardless, we want you to show up there tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning and get your treatment. Don't worry about anything else that's happening in the background. In the meantime, in between time, we got this. You go get treatment. And when I tell you, before I even woke up, before I even got to the new location to get treatment at 8 a.m., I had notices from my insurance company saying, "Yep, everything's approved. Have a great time." I had confirmation portal messages from my oncologist, from the nurse navigator. Everyone's just partnering and working together to make sure that the patient experience, at least for me, is as smooth as it can be. And I am eternally grateful for that. I will say that at this new hospital network, I know that it's not just my oncologist looking at my case is kind of unique because I am young and I this cancer is super duper aggressive and I'm on chemo drug number 8 or 9 now. So my breast cancer has been able to pretty much thwart the attempts of a bunch of different chemo drugs already. So I know that there is an entire team, there's an entire board that my case gets presented to, and they all get to give their, and it's not just oncologists, it's the breast surgeons, the oncologists, radiation oncology. Everyone gets to sit in the room and put their heads together and think, okay, are we doing everything that we can? Have we considered all the options? Are we thinking outside the box? I know that my doctor isn't so full of herself that she thinks she knows everything and doesn't need anyone else's opinion. She has asked my permission to share my case with fellows that she knows at different hospital networks, over at Harvard, over at Sloan Memorial, like wherever she needs to go to get additional information, to get feedback, to get input. That's what she's doing. And she comes and shares those results with me each time we meet. And I don't feel like I'm ever kept in the dark. It's just total night and day. So definitely switch to a network where you feel supported and you have an entire team around you to make sure that your patient experience is as smooth as possible. Getting care for your medical issues should not be more painful than the issue itself. So,
Wow, again. So, everyone, we're getting such good information here. And, she's the expert in this, as far as not just because of her experience, but because she's doing the work to actually even advocate and support women who are experiencing these things where they're needing help in that self advocacy. So, when there was so much good information in that. I like the fact that you mentioned how your healthcare provider should be a team. Oftentimes, because of how, for instance, our medical records are dispersed between so many different providers, they don't
mhm,
communicate effectively. And that was something that having electronic medical records was supposed to be able to solve, but that's
mhm,
not always what it's able to do because different electronic medical record systems don't communicate with each other,
right.
especially if the providers chose a different one.
Mhm,
Even though that EMRs, as we call them, was supposed to be a solution for that the government required in about 2011 onward, they were supposed to start going to those. The problem is, we're still having a problem here.
mhm,
So you need your healthcare providers to be a team. We don't need one to feel that they're a dictator over everything. We need to be communicating and understanding what each other are doing to help you reach the optimal care that you deserve. And you have made sure of that by having a healthcare team in which you lead because your voice is being heard. You are taking the leadership role and letting and having your team do what they're supposed to do to support you to success. And I'm in knowing you, I'm so happy that that's what you were able to do. You deserve that. Every woman, every man deserves a healthcare team that is going to support them through their illness and help them reach success, especially
Absolutely.
if there are options and you are doing the work to ensure that that happens. So now that we know about your journey. We know some of the things that you recommend. I want to know more about the work that you're doing as a self advocacy coach and what you are doing, supplying in order to help everyone have this information and know what they can do.
Okay. Well, as a self advocacy coach, I help clients in three key areas. I help folks learn how to advocate for themselves, speak up for their needs so they can live the lives that they want, that they need, and that they deserve in the employment, medical, and personal relationship spaces. Um, you may think that those three spaces are very different, but there are common themes that weave throughout all of them. And at the very basis of it is confidence and that self love. Once you feel confident in your voice and you feel confident that you actually do deserve to be treated well, you actually deserve to live the life that you want to live, you actually deserve to be healthy and happy, then you can make the steps and make the changes necessary to move forward. To help my clients, I've created several just freebies. I like to give away as much information as I can. I have questions that you can ask at your doctor's appointments, or areas that you can advocate for yourself at work, or different ways that you can enforce boundaries and start to say no with those personal relationships, whether it's your mom or your friend or your brother, whoever. Once you can start doing those things, then your life starts to seem a little bit less heavy. Life starts to be a little bit more enjoyable because you've set those boundaries, you're getting that treatment, you're living the life that maybe you've always envisioned for yourself. And another thing that recently happened to celebrate the 2-year anniversary of me being diagnosed is I released a self advocacy course for women who have recently been diagnosed with any sort of illness or ailment. I noticed that early on in my diagnosis, that the thing that the person that did my biopsy was doing for me was providing me something to anchor to. She was going through her mind and saying, okay, if it's not mastitis, it's probably breast cancer. So what can she do? And the only thing she could think to tell me to do was to pretty much get prepared. How do I get prepared? I start to look for doctors and surgeons that are going to be, necessary to fit my need. We, of course, started in my current hospital network because that was the most logical thing to do. And we took it from there. With this course, I wanted to take that and take it a step further. I have been advocating for myself and my needs probably unknowingly since a very, very early age. I've always been a master negotiator and I can get whatever it is I needed from my parents whenever I needed it. But a lot of people aren't able to or don't know the effective ways to speak up for themselves. And whenever you have been recently diagnosed with an ailment or a condition, a lot of things just go out the window. Sometimes you just go blank and you're just sitting there. And a lot of times it's hard to get yourself unstuck from that shock perspective or that shock point of view. What do I do next? Well, that's what this course was designed for. Not only does it help you walk through those steps of, okay, you've been diagnosed, now what do you do? But it also helps with just general self advocacy tips. So even if you're a woman who wasn't recently diagnosed, or a man even who hasn't been recently diagnosed, but you'd like to play a bigger role in your doctor's appointments to make sure that you're being seen, you're being heard, your input's being valued, then this course is for you as well. I provide lots of templates and how to's and strategies on things you can do and say, how you can utilize these tools to effectively advocate for yourself in your doctor's appointments. My goal is for everyone to get the treatment, specifically medically, that they want, need, and deserve, because that's what life is all about. If you can't live a happy life, then what are we doing?
Exactly. Wow. So, as you can see, this course that she has created is something that all of us need and can benefit from. I know when it comes to my own personal journey that even as a registered nurse, I needed guidance in those areas. I actually had to learn it myself.
Mhm.
In fact, not advocating for myself effectively contributed to me having delayed treatment, delayed care, for me having a progression in my disease, autoimmune disease, which is rheumatoid arthritis, and also my condition endometriosis. It contributed to that. I can't put that all on the doctors. I'm going to have to honestly
Mhm.
say I did experience medical gaslighting, but there's another side to that, is that when we experience that, we have to also take the steps to advocate for ourselves. And so it's more than one side to each story. We can't just
Mhm.
make the doctors out to be the bad guys when we also
Absolutely.
have actions that we need to take. And some of
Mhm.
them are just limited in their ability to meet our needs. So we
Mhm.
move on to the next one. It took me some time to move on to the next one. And that time that I took to do that inflicted a lot more damage on my joints, on my body, on me mentally and emotionally as well. So that's why I wanted to have you and you share your journey as well as your course, because I don't want anyone to go through what I did. And hearing the journeys of others, not just mine, can be a
Mhm.
good support to us raising awareness to the importance of self advocacy. I'm so excited for you and this course. Congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I also, everyone, you got to make sure that you grab her freebies as well, because they are wonderful tools. I mean, they're free, but listen, they're worth a lot. They're priceless. And then they're a good segue into what is going to be presented in the course. The other thing is make sure that you find that information in the show notes for this show so that you'll have easy access to not only following Jess, but also being able to access these wonderful courses and items that she has available. So, when you look back on everything that you have experienced as a self advocacy warrior and a breast cancer warrior, um, what's your takeaway? What has this journey taught you, and what have you learned from it that will follow you for the rest of your life?
I would say this journey taught me that I can't do it all by myself. As a woman, as a Black woman, as a millennial, it just sometimes feels like, well, I got to do this and I have to do that and I have to do this. And if I don't do this, then this will happen. And cancer forces you to have a seat and reflect because I can't do all the grocery shopping and the cooking and the cleaning and the child rearing and the wifing and the sistering and the daughtering. I can't do it all. And not saying that cancer now gives me an excuse, but cancer has now raised my own self awareness of, okay, I think I'm pushing it too hard. I now have something physical to remind me that I need to go sit down somewhere. I need to go take a nap. I need to go drink some water. I need to go rest. I don't have to be all the things to all the people. One thing that'll stick with me forever is that when you're going through things, you will receive love from the most random places. And I say random in like air quotes because I don't think that many things are in life are truly random. But when I tell you that once I was diagnosed and once I made the decision to be open, honest, and transparent about sharing my story, the love has flowed in from complete strangers. When I tell you, me and Katina did not know each other more than a year ago, but I've run into several women like her and other folks that have just reached out to me, opened up their arms, poured into me, allowed me to pour into them, and have become people that feel like almost lifelong friends, the people that feel like I've known forever. So it's almost like a double bonus. I still get that love from the people that have known me forever. They have shown up and showed out in ways that I am forever eternally grateful. And then on those down days where it's like, yeah, I don't want to worry my friends, or I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. I now have a whole new extended list of people that I can add on to that friend list. So I don't feel like I always have to dump on my best friend or dump on this childhood friend. I now have a list of 7, 8, no exaggeration, additional women that have come into my life and pretty much made their imprint and they're stuck with me for life now. So I will say going through this whole journey, whether it's been love from doctors or nurses, the nurse navigators, anyone I've shared my story with has always ended it with, I'm sending you thoughts and prayers. I'm keeping you, I'm sending you good vibes. I'm sending you meals. I'm sending your kids clothes. I'm paying for your Christmas. The love is just unreal and it's immeasurable. And that is one thing that will stick with me for the rest of my life.
Let me tell you, you made my eyes kind of water just a bit. I had to.
That single
It's,
thug tear almost rolled down,
yeah, it's like,
Katina.
girl, it almost rolled down. My eyes almost started to rain.
You start cutting onions
But
over there.
yes, well, where the onions at? Get rid of them. Okay, so what I value about you is that same thing. There are women like you, like Ashley Nicole, for example, as well. Like so many of us who have not known each other more than a year, who have now became true sisters, true people that you can lean on. There's been more than one time that your voice has been encouragement to me in just
Aw.
random phone calls or random checks because I'm that person. I've learned how it's important for us when somebody hits our mind and our thoughts to actually reach out because that may be
Absolutely.
God's way of telling us that person needs our support. So
Absolutely.
when that person comes to your mind and your heart and you can't stop thinking about them, call them.
Mhm.
Reach out to them. Be a source of support and encouragement to them. Just say, I was thinking of you and I just wanted to say hello because
Mhm.
that might actually be exactly what that person needed to make it through that day. And that's what I hope to be to others, but I know for sure that's what you've also been to me.
Oh, thank
And
you.
so blessed to have been able to develop this relationship with you. It needs to be more of this,
Mhm.
especially among women, especially among us strong Black women who
Mhm.
are out here trying to push through and handle it all on our own. We don't
Yes.
have to.
We
We have
don't. I'm
we
tired of being
actually have a room.
strong. I just wanna rest. Like, can I rest? I'm tired,
Give me
God.
I need a nap.
I need a
Okay.
nap, please. Worse than any time in my life, I need a nap, Katina. Pain-free. Can I
Yeah.
get one pain-free nap? I promise I'll be good after that.
She said, well, you have been good and you
Well,
have
thank you.
done so much good. This course is going to change the life of so many.
Oh, I hope
And
so.
I want you all to check her out at Just the IE, her courses. In fact, tell us where we can reach you, sis.
Well, I'm all over these social media streets. I mean, I'm trying to be consistent everywhere, but one thing I am consistent with is my name. I am at Just the IE on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Twitter. Wherever you are, you can find me there.
Excellent. Definitely just the IE is out there making a difference, causing a change, and will be a force to reckon with. In fact, she already is, but but the next episode is about to be better than even the first.
Oh, and I can't
So
wait.
yes, me. And I'm glad that I get to be a passenger on this ride with you.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
yeah. So thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us, for sharing your story. It is such an amazing story. I'm
Well,
going to
thank you.
have you back
Okay.
as well. So, be ready, sis, when I
I
call.
stay ready. Don't worry.
So y'all see how we are. This is how
This
we've
is
been
it.
from day one.
Silliness, just goofy. Whatever we got to say to
Exactly.
get each other laughing. That is my goal. If we laugh at least once,
That's
then mission accomplished.
Yeah, it's usually more than that.
Uh-huh.
So, everyone, I always end every episode with these words. My sisters, we may be inflamed, but we are still here. And as long as we are here, let's thrive together because
Amen.
inflamed sisters thrive together always. Have a wonderful day. And thank you for listening to me because you could have been anywhere in the world, but you gave an ear to my podcast. And don't forget to like, to subscribe, and to share with others. Have a wonderful day, everybody.